Yes, here we are. All right, and I know that we have our two intrepid explorers of that political sphere called Reform and Uniparty in the background. Hello. Trevor, are you there? Say hello.
Yes, good evening, everybody.
And Mark.
I'm here.
Mark, say hello.
I unmute my microphone, doesn't it? You would tell me to be quiet at the start. So.
Like a kung fu film then. His lips are moving, there's no sound.
Yeah. All right, hey, listen. All right, this is absolutely driving me nuts. I can't get it out of my head, right?
It's driving me nuts, and you've only showed it me twice.
And here it is again. You ready?
Oh, do we have to?
Chicken, banana, chicken, banana. Chicken, banana, banana, banana. Chicken, banana.
What's it saying?
Thank God that's over.
Chicken,
Kind of work out what
banana.
it's saying.
Chicken, banana.
Is that what it is?
That's what it is. That's a policy
That's
meeting.
like that. That's like that thing on, God, what was it? Britain's Got Talent about 5 years ago. That bloke going round, where's my keys? Forgot my keys. Where's my keys? Have you seen my keys?
Oh, come on.
God,
At least we got the important stuff out the way at the beginning, eh?
That's a policy meeting. That's a policy meeting at the Labour cabinet right now. I'm telling you, that's it. They come in and say, "What's the news, Keir?" And he goes,
"Chicken, banana, chicken, banana, chicken, banana, banana, banana."
Don't play that again.
I really don't want to overspeak that. I mean, they've got nothing else to say, have they? They might as well say chicken banana because that's all they.
That's what it is, right? Okay, right, all right. Okay, we all know the elections. Mark, give us a quick rundown of what you think has gone on. Okay, and I'll put up a picture. You ready? Here we go.
A good royal whopping. I mean, I know I said the Uniparty were finished last week. I think not too sure they're finished right yet, but I think maybe they're in the death throes. And I mean, look at that. Imagine if the country did all the locals in one bang. That would be a lot different, wouldn't it?
I think. Trevor, what's your thoughts on that?
Oh, go on.
Oh,
yeah, I mean, just looking at that.
We can't see Trevor because he's.
If you'd have had.
Oh my God! I've got to get Trevor up here.
Yeah, if you'd have had all the elections,
Talking about technical problems.
Not the ones that Labour stopped. Because don't forget, as I said last week, half of those, or should I say the other half, because they stopped about half of them in total. The other half were basically mainly Labour. So, you could see what's happened in this.
Yeah.
So if you'd have had the full elections, just imagine what that would have been.
Well, when we were looking at what went on last week, okay, so as far as I'm concerned, here you go. We got Mandy that's just entered in, so I'm just going to leave her there, right, for now, okay, and then add her as number 3. That's okay. That's all right. She just come in, so when we get some video from her. But anyway, okay,
we've got video, but she seems to be sideways.
I can't see.
Am I?
Hey. Hey, you.
The content meeting is being sent to one or more apps, okay?
All right, okay. 1 second.
Do I have to do it like that then?
That's it.
That's it. Mandy, we're going to mute you for a little bit because we're talking about the council and then we'll bring you on. So don't go anywhere, all right? Can you hear us? Yes, you can. Yeah, okay. She's gone vertical. She's gone all vertical. Okay. Anyway, so we're looking at it and what's happened. I mean, it's quite seismic, really, with what has happened. I mean, if you consider, Trevor, what's your opinion of actually overthrowing like a sort of a 15,000 majority?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's concentrating on the 6 votes, aren't they? It's not the 6 votes, it's the 15,000 that came before it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what it's about. It's about the 15,000 turnaround.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, that's mammoth. I mean, that's not just a protest vote. It's not just, a one-off, because it obviously was followed by the rest. The other councils. But that, I can't remember, since I've been fiddling and diddling with all this politics, I can't remember one that sizable that springs to mind.
It's quite massive, to be honest with you.
So I should imagine, what was that? I'd say that was the 65 fifth or something, whatever it is. Don't matter what the number is,
Yeah.
but it's quite high up, safest seat. So all I can say is that, well, how many is there? 400 of them. So about 300, at least 320 or 330 are quaking in their boots at the minute.
Absolutely.
If they can turn around 15,000 on that one seat,
Yeah.
that basically wipes out certainly 300 of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've taken control of how many councils now, Mark? Is it 10, 11? It's 11, isn't it?
I need my glasses on. I think it was 10 last I heard. We could have gone
Yeah,
to
10
more.
it was, yeah, 10 councils.
Well, have you heard what he's going to do? Okay. He's actually going to make sure, and he's actually made it a rule, that all those councils only run the British or the English flag above the HQs. How about that?
Well, I mean, I love it. I love everything that's coming out. But as I said 2 weeks ago, I'm really concerned about the people that are going to be taking over the councils,
Yeah.
because my thought is that a lot of those candidates were paper candidates. And if they were not paper candidates, they're certainly first time round candidates.
Okay. Well,
That's been
here's
my experience of reform. So what I'm saying is you've got, in those 10 councils, you've got people going in
yeah.
that are completely, if you pardon the pun, green.
Yeah.
So they're going to be going in there. And what I heard of Zaya Youssef, I mean, I'm just repeating what he said, is that we're going to have meetings
Yeah.
and then we're going to show them how it's done.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, but that's Stevie Wonder leading David Blunkett, in my opinion, because they don't know, they haven't got any clue about the.
So you're saying that these councillors have got to go to the Stevie Wonder School of Photography?
Look, all I can say, and you've experienced it with.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going back to UKIP, right? Well, I'm going to double endorse what happened. My experience with reform
Yeah.
was that I think it ranged from sort of 0 to 1% of help. And the only help I received was ridiculous.
Well, we're soon
I
going to
was
find
told-
out. We're soon going to
I
find
was
out because we'll have a
advised
chat to
by
Mandy.
managers that were they weren't controlling my campaign, because that was, literally down to me.
Mm-hmm.
Period. End off. That was it.
Yeah.
You've got no support whatsoever. And the only support you got, in fact, you was involved in that.
I know. I know.
Over leafleting decisions,
Yeah.
which was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I was told by a manager information that was absolutely tosh.
Well, let's have a listen to Nigel and one of his first interviews. Okay, after the elections. Here we go.
You spoke
there
then
you
about
have,
750 young men.
Yeah.
I mean,
have,
that's
Mr.
a small
Farage
fraction
saying
of the
that
people
the,
living in this constituency.
Conservative
Can
Party
you really
is
scapegoat
toast.
them for the problems that
you-
people who face?
Do you live in their streets?
I don't
No, it's funny that, isn't it? If you live in a street and 10 or 15 young men from completely different cultures move into one of those houses, and you're getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go and work on a building site or whatever it is, would you be happy about that? I tell you what, people aren't.
About what living beside people. I mean, what
Why should I pay my taxes for people who illegally come into Britain, get free health care, immediate GP appointments, free dental appointments, spending money, and full bed and breakfast paid for? There is
people
a
don't
sense
get
here that something wrong and unfair is going on.
And it's
And
approaching the
do you not
Reform
think you're
UK
just trying
candidate
to
who will
create
be heading
divisions
to
within a
Westminster.
community?
No, the divisions are being created by weak British governments, allowing people willy-nilly from all over the world, undocumented young males of fighting age, to come into Britain in unprecedented numbers.
Spot on.
Well, I can't argue with that, Trevor. I mean, the rhetoric is there.
No, nobody can argue with that.
Okay.
That's only what we're saying. That's what everybody. See, I'm going to try and stay out of this discussion, because I'm going to be like, it seems to be the Ben Habib at the minute is be called Bitter Ben. So I'll be called, I don't know, Tenacious Trevor or something. They'll be
I'd
making
love a
some
bitter
word for
Ben.
it.
I tell you, I think that guy would be great in British
Yeah,
politics.
no, see, and it sounds like you know, why Reform are on this this roar at the minute, which is fantastic. Credit
good.
where credit's due.
Yeah.
Credit. If it doesn't matter who it is, whether it's Reform. I mean, all right, yeah, it does. I mean, not the Lib Dems, but it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter really. As long as Labour are getting smashed, I'm not really bothered who it is.
Yeah, yeah.
But I know. I don't guess. I don't, imagine. I know Reform.
Yeah, yeah. I get it.
I know it.
Well, we all
I've worked
know
with
it.
it
We
for
all
18
know.
months.
We've all experienced it.
Yeah, well, you've experienced, little bits as regards the leafleting, as regards what we've discussed.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I'm talking about the former Reform. I'm talking about
But I've actually
UKIP and the Brexit Party. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, no, sorry, I'm just on about reforming this.
Yeah,
particular-
yeah.
So I'm gonna have to be quiet because it sounds like I am very negative, and I'm
No.
not. I'm just.
Let's get back to what happened last week.
Yeah, well, okay. Let's see, right? Well, what happened last week was this, right? And at this point, okay, I'm going to bring Mandy in and let her look at it, and then we'll bring her on. And here we are.
Sarah Joanne Pochin, Reform UK, 12,645. Karen Louise Shaw, Labour Party, 12,639. And I do hereby declare that Sarah Joanne Pochin is duly elected as a Member of Parliament for the Runcorn and Helsby constituency.
There you
Did I hear some
go.
booing? Did I hear some booing as
There
well?
was some
then?
booing there, right?
Oh, that's not. Do you know what? That's just.
Mandy, you're going to have to unmute yourself. Okay, there you go. Right, okay. What were your feelings on that night when that happened?
Just ecstatic, really, really elated.
Okay, so you were happy?
Oh my gosh, yeah. It was very nerve-wracking waiting for the recount. It was nerve-wracking from the point where we knew that the bookies had demoted Reform to second favourite from
Okay.
being the favourite. So we had a bit of a roller coaster with it. I think the day before, Ben Walker had given us a bit of a dodgy prediction, which had Labour just ahead of us.
Okay.
And then on the actual day itself, the prediction was very positive for Reform. And then we got this demotion. And we didn't, in the bookies, and we didn't know, we knew that there was a discrepancy and a likely recount needed, but that it was within 100 votes. But so and everybody, because of the bookies putting us to second favourite, everybody in the room assumed that meant that that it was Reform that was asking for the recount, and that we were up to 100 votes behind Labour, and that it was finished. That's what we thought. We thought we just missed out. And then when it was apparent that it was 4 votes in it, we just couldn't believe it. And again, we all thought that it was Labour that were ahead and that it was us that was requesting the recount. So everybody went home thinking it could go on all night with this recount ping pong between the two, and that we'd lost anyway. And then when it was apparent that it was actually Reform that were 4 votes ahead, that was a game changer, and everyone was ecstatic. And then it was nail biting until we found out that it was actually likely that Farage was coming into the hall, and that seemed to indicate that we'd probably won. And then we found out that it was 6 votes on the recount, and we were ahead by 6 votes. Just ridiculously close. How could it have been that close? It's just unprecedented.
Well,
absolutely amazing.
Trevor commented earlier on about the massive overcoming of the majority that Mike Amesbury had in that area. I mean, that alone was just absolutely phenomenal, right, for the candidate to actually take that. Now, we're not sure that it was Sarah Pochin that did that. We think it might have been the Reform momentum that pushed that on, as well as the antipathy towards Labour. And we must just state at this point that you are now part of all those councillors that are now Reform. So you are a Reform councillor on Cheshire West and Chester, correct?
That's correct.
Right. Well, there we have it. So we're getting something. Well, we won't quite say for the horse's mouth because you're not a horse, my lady. not in any way, shape, or form.
Watch it.
I know. We know not to mess with members of the dominant race. We know that. So, as it is, okay. Trevor was mentioning earlier on that it was such a massive overcoming, and I'm sure Trevor's got some questions to ask. So go ahead, Trevor, ask away.
My main question is: did you see the Looney Party do that?
Oh no, I didn't see that.
No, Howling Lord Hope, because when
He
on
did.
the TV, he went like that.
Did he?
4 votes.
He did. He did actually do
Yeah,
that.
he did actually do that. Yeah.
Do you know? I don't think they should be allowed to stand in front of their candidates, taking all the limelight at the. It's really out of order, isn't it?
Oh, the loonies. Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
listen.
Always do it, don't they?
Listen, right? And we've noticed the color on your nails. Okay, it is the reform color. We see that. See that, Trevor. Okay, we see that. All right. We know, and we will prompt, right, the raving loony party. If you stand for the mayoralty in Cheshire, we will prompt them to go and stand next to you.
Stand right in front of me. I'll be getting the chair to move them. I think
that-
that's what.
If you can you see that focused?
See that? Focus in on that.
I've not just made that. That's my hat. That.
That's
So that'll give you an idea of the last
Trevor.
party I was in.
Trevor, put the hat back on again. Put the hat back on again.
Smashed your hair up, mate.
Yeah.
Just stay there.
Yeah, you
Don't
can't-
worry. There it is, Mandy. Take a look.
There it is.
Yeah.
You see it? That's the official
Got
badge.
that,
That's
yeah.
my badge.
Yeah.
There you go. All right.
Are you a member?
Yeah, well, I have. I was a member for 3 years.
Okay.
I'm
He is-
Grandad Looney.
Okay.
That's his loony name,
that
Grandad
again.
Loony. Okay.
Grandad Looney. I am the minister for allotments.
And they've
No,
got.
seriously. I'm not joking. I was
He
the minister because when you join, you can join. They ask you what ministry you want, and I said I'm the minister for allotments. Basically, to give everybody in England under law should get a free allotment to give peas a chance. That was
Well,
my.
you should definitely have an official hat for that important role, I think.
Oh yeah, you've got to have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll
no.
just give you one other tip. I mean, they have a cabinet reshuffle every year at the conference, which is in September, and it's literally a cabinet. And no, seriously, the members stand in it and stand out of it. That's your shuffle. It is literally a cabinet that's on the floor, and you stand in, and you go around with your pints because it's all held as a pub, and you go around and then you stand in and out of the cabinet. That's the cabinet reshuffle.
Well, do you
Anyway,
know what?
I'll leave you on that. I'll leave you with that.
If it all goes wrong with reform, I reckon we should just all do that instead.
Oh, yeah,
go-
well, we did a year on the policies. I did a year of loony policies.
Oh, yeah.
In the past podcast, yeah.
Hey, listen.
Nice.
This is what we put
Yes,
out
sir.
last week, okay? Because we said that Reform have a lost and found department. And then when Reform were won, right, Runcorn and Helsby, okay, this is what we found. And we got this. It was a secret video.
He's got some moves with a shirt, hasn't
Yeah.
he? Give him that.
They were so happy.
Yeah.
You think I'm kidding? That's
Vibe
Reform.
with us.
That's Reform lost and found, I'm telling you.
Yeah, it
We
was
know-
good.
We know that they're moving. That's what we were putting on because we knew that everybody.
Yeah.
We stayed awake all night. Well,
Did we?
almost all of us.
Well, I got there till the second count, and then I thought I'm going to bed. That was about 4 o'clock. When it
I
just said
stayed-
another full recount.
Yeah, I stayed awake for it. Just had to. Just couldn't believe it. It was amazing. Yeah, and also because a lot of us turned up at 5:30 on the morning of the polling day, and did leafleting and things, to remind people that it was polling day, and carried on. I managed to carry on through the whole day. So by the time we got to like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, a lot of us were really knackered. But that's just how it is, isn't it, with
yeah.
elections? It's always
Yeah.
the same. It's part of the fun.
So the truth of the matter is, what is happening now? I mean, what are you planning for Cheshire West and Chester? We need to know this. I mean, Mark's got questions as well, but what are you planning? I mean, have they shunned you?
Who?
What do you mean, who? The
Who shunned me?
elite. The
Labour.
elite. Yes, of course.
They've already
Oh.
done that, haven't they?
The thing, yeah. My name was mud a long time ago with Labour. On Cheshire West and Chester, we've now got an official group. So there's two of us. So there's myself and there's Councillor Graham Heatley, who's defected from the Tories.
Has he gone
and
to reform as well?
He's come to reform, yeah.
Oh.
So we're going to officially announce that tomorrow. So you've got that scoop first.
Oh, brilliant. Absolutely
and we've
superb.
agreed, yeah, and we've agreed between us that I'm going to be the leader of the reform group on Cheshire West and Chester, and Graham's going to be the whip. So that's a fledgling group.
Did
yeah.
you have the whip first and tell him that you're the leader?
I'm biting my tongue on this one.
You're not the only one.
Don't go there, mate.
So yeah, well, so we all know, right? So the fact of the matter, are there any others that are interested? Are you talking?
There are whispers, but I think it's a big thing for people to make that move, isn't it? It's a big consideration.
Yeah.
It can take a while for people to really get there, but I've heard there are people considering that option.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, fair enough. So in that case, then that's going to be a little bit worrying for both Louise and also for Karen. What's Karen Shaw going to do now? Is she going to go back to being deputy leader?
Nobody knows. We'll find
Going in
out though,
reform.
because we've got a full council meeting.
About to
coming
say
up.
that. Sorry, go on.
We've got a full council meeting coming up on the 15th. So it's not long to wait to find out what the plan is. There's every possibility, isn't there? Because they have at this next meeting, the Labour will be having their AGM ahead of that, the Labour group,
Right.
and they'll be deciding who's going to be the leader for the following year. And if Louise Gittins is going to go for the mayor position for Labour, there's every possibility that that's maybe someone else will be taken over as leader.
As leader.
And because
Okay.
Karen's got her tail between her legs, who knows?
Well,
Yeah.
we can actually we can give you an example of what happened to Karen during the election. Check this out.
Here with Karen Shaw, the Labour candidate in the by-election.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
No chance of me giving you my vote. Now, if it was Zara Sultana, happily. But I
That's even
can't
worse.
stand the man, wouldn't vote for the man. I'm going green. Bye-bye. Okay.
Sarah
That was good.
Sultana, that's even worse.
I was
No.
going to say she was one of the six, but she obviously wasn't. She went green, didn't she?
She went green.
Yeah. So that answered my question.
You know,
Yeah.
so
Mandy,
those
did you see many Labour politicians? Because it looked like they were all there.
I didn't see any, but I saw on the telly, on YouTube, GB News and social media and stuff that they had Angela Rayner there, Lisa
All bar
Nandy,
Starmer.
Starmer, not Starmer. Did
He
they have
wasn't
West
there, was he?
Streeting? I don't know.
Yeah, West
yeah,
Street
he
was
came
there,
down. He came down.
But I thought I didn't think Karen looked confident through the campaign or comfortable. And I know Labour were really, really worried because they knew it was very close all the way through. I think they had to adopt some different tactics where they decided that they were going to put extra resources into going after not their own reliable vote, but people who were unlikely to vote for reform, to try and push them to make sure that they got out the door to cast their votes.
Well, we thought it was
Yeah.
very strange, and we discussed this on the program. We thought it was strange that they would get such a reaction on the door, because normally if they would film, they would go to a door that they were actually quite confident of getting a positive response from.
Yeah.
that's what me and you said, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
And
strange
Trevor
there.
commented on that as well.
Yeah, I really picked up a lot of anger from people who would normally vote Labour, an awful lot. And it really reminded me of what happened in Winsford when we stood our independence there. It was the same sort of thing. So we had the same feeling with it. So we'd have people stopping us in the street, people pulling up in their work van, saying, "Are you Reform?" Going, "Hey," you know, it's like loads of enthusiasm, and then also a lot of anger. So some of our leaflets had Starmer's face on them, and when people saw that or saw any red on our leaflets, they'd say, "There's no chance I'm voting for him. Don't even bother." And then we'd say, "Oh, it's not, it's Reform," and they'd go, "Oh yeah, you're all right, I'll vote for him." And I remember one bloke saying to me, "Oh," he said, "I thought Dick Turpin was dead," about Starmer. And it was like there was real sort of hatred of Labour on the doorstep.
It's bad. Well,
as well as of a lot of love and enthusiasm for Reform. It was like both of those things. And I just feel like I know that on the doorsteps, Labour won't have been getting enthusiasm off their own voters. People are seriously fed up with them, as that, you know, overturning that majority shows, doesn't it?
Okay, well, stick with us, Mandy. Mute yourself, because we're going to talk about a few other things, and then we'll bring you back on. All right?
All right,
I was going to say, so where did the 15,000 come from?
Sorry?
Where did the 15,000 majority vote come from? Where did you think?
Where did the 15,000 come from? I mean, 15,000 is not 100, is it? That's a hell of a chunk of people.
Yeah.
So where did 15,000 votes come from?
I mean, I think some of them to knock that off. I think some of them you needed to be switching and voting Reform. Some of them you just needed them to stay home because they were that annoyed with Labour.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So lack of Labour. Yeah. But I mean,
Mix of both. I think.
I've not sat down. I haven't actually sat down and worked that out. I do normally because of an anorak, which is sad, but I haven't actually sat down and looked at that yet.
He is an anorak because he analyzes the figures.
It's going to be hard to tell, though, Trev, isn't it?
Hey?
It's going to be hard to tell because did you get new voters coming out because they're sick of Labour, or did a lot of Conservatives flip, or did some Labour flip?
That's a lot,
point,
though. Over 15,000. It's
got to be a little bit of everything, really, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you've not got. All right, you've got what in every constituency, you've 11,000 pensioners. So a lot of them could have came out. I mean, and that particular area covers farmers, but I mean, even with those little chunks, you're still not getting 15,000 people.
I know, it's massive.
So,
it's a massive
as Mandy may have suggested there, that a lot of Labour just said, "Sod it, I ain't voting."
Yeah, so
Possibly,
they didn't vote for him. Well, Mandy, here's one of the...
Which they never do.
Yeah. Here's one of the...
still a chunk, 15,000, a lot of people.
Here's one of the voters there, right? And then mute yourself, and then we'll bring you back on, okay? Just have a listen to this. You ready?
Are you planning to vote for?
Well, I've had a good look at what they've all got to say, and I'd rather vote for one of these sausage rolls, tell you the truth.
Any of the candidates?
Yeah. They're just all the same. They just tell you what you want to hear, just to get your vote. And they don't mean any of it. Never have.
So the Reform candidate isn't tempting you?
Good God, no. No, I'd rather hit myself on the head with a hammer than vote for him.
See, this is the problem. Then vote for him. He's got no idea what he's talking about, and it's people like that who are literally they are hindering our progress here.
Absolutely,
if we want to get rid of this uniparty, you've got to maybe vote for a party that you might not be 100% on.
Well, talking about uniparty, right? Here's Kemi. Here's what she had to say about it. And I'm expecting you to savage her. Here we go.
Actually, what I would say, first of all, is congratulations to those Conservative candidates who have won, and my sincere commiserations to those Conservative candidates who lost. This is not a reflection on them or their hard work. We always knew that this was going to be a challenging election. I'd been saying that right from the minute that I became leader of the party late last year. And we are renewing our party. We are rebuilding, but it's going to be a long journey.
Yeah, right. Finished.
See what I mean?
They're in denial. John, they've just got no idea what's happening to them.
No.
Like someone who's honest should come out and say, do you know what? We've destroyed this country for 14 years and everyone hates us. Yep. Is there anything we can do to change it? Maybe the opposite of what you've done for 14 years, but they can't shift. And if you're going to show Starmer, it's going to be the same thing for him as well.
Indeed. Well, I can give it to you, right? You know, here it is.
Starmer made it sound as if he was going to bring a whole new world. And he has for a lot of people. Unfortunately, they're not British. So, by all means, help people out that are struggling. But this influx of what we're seeing now is depriving, I feel.
Oh, absolutely.
I also spoke to a number of people who tell me that immigration...
Actually, what I would say, first of all, is congratulations to those Conservatives, whether it's Labour, Lib
So
Dem
there you
or
go.
Reform.
Go
And the
forward.
way we win is by making sure that people can see that this is an authentic Conservative party that stays true to its principles and its values, and that those values reflect the values of the majority of people in the country. That's
But
no.
Sorry, but they don't, because the majority of the people in this election didn't vote for them.
Correct.
Oh, they live in a dream world. Do you know what? This is perfect. Keep them in the bubbles, thinking there's not a problem, and this should be easier than we thought it might be.
Well, if you think about it, right, this was somebody who did an investigation into migrant hotels, okay? And this is what they found. Now, take a look at this.
That's the prayer room in that, look. How we doing,
That's
fellas?
nice, isn't it?
Nice hotel, yeah? What's happening? What's happening? I'm not good. So
Look
we're
at
back
that.
inside the Delta Marriott, former Hilton. 180 bedroom. How are you? Is it nice
Not
here?
really awkward, like, but I can't see many women and children in there.
He's getting thrown out.
There you go, right? Now look at that place. Look at that
That's
place.
swanky, that, isn't it?
Absolutely swanky.
How
okay?
are we in
Say
here?
it was a
Let me ask
Hilton.
you. How are we in here?
Can we go outside for
Yeah,
a
yeah,
second,
of course,
please?
of course.
Can we go outside for a second? We can talk about that,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, all right, don't push up.
Please, just
Yeah, we've already explored the building. Serco office, get that bit. How are we, fellas? Connect
And then
4.
they stick the migrants on a 12-hour course for an SAA badge, and then they're throwing you out.
All good. Is it nice here?
Nothing's wrong with it. Come with me. We are good. Yeah.
I've still not spotted one woman or child there.
None.
It's busy in here, man. It's too hot out there. Get the aircon on.
Look at that place. Now, they can't even give our pensioners the winter fuel allowance. But look at what they're giving all those asylum seekers in there.
And these people wonder why they've just been destroyed.
Correct.
Well, they don't actually, do they? They still think it's okay, we can fix this.
Well, they think it's they think it's okay, you know. What I don't understand is how, right, that they actually think they're going to win the next election. Now look at what they're giving those people. Those people are living in the lap of luxury. No matter how you put it, they're doing so well. And this is what Keir Starmer has to say about these things. Check this out.
Now change the country
Working
for the
people,
better.
fix the
And
foundations.
What you do, you make promises you can't keep, and don't really intend to keep, and you, don't do the change that's needed in the country. I feel very strongly, if you're not going to deliver, if you're not going to keep your promises, don't bullshit.
Is he describing himself here?
He's describing himself, you know,
stressed, look at his
completely.
face.
You know,
Oh, the panic.
and you just couldn't make that up, could you?
I've got an anti-reform question here that Sarah Polchin brought up that never got answered. That she closed down the Daresbury. She's working on that now to get rid of it. She said, "I'm sorry, Mandy, for listening, but you know it was the Daresbury." No, anybody around here knows it is the Daresbury. So that's
right.
One, she's out of
Daresbury.
touch with that one.
Someone told her because she did change it.
And then she changed it to the Daresbury.
yeah.
She did. She did that on the second interview. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so she said, "Oh, we're going to close it down." That's fine. That's great. Where are you going to put them?
Tents.
Well, Serco are doing their
No,
biz,
she never
aren't
answered that one.
No.
Oh, nobody.
Andrea Jenkins did.
And yeah, put them
Yeah,
in
but
tents.
No, I'm not about Sarah Poaching, but nobody answered that question, or nobody
No.
asked.
No, true
Nobody
enough.
asked her that question, right? So they're saying everything again, the same as everybody is. They're saying everything that you want to hear. Right, great. Close it down. Where are you going to put them?
Yeah.
That's it.
They shouldn't be here in the first place. We all know that. Okay. But, you know, this is
Serco will sort that out, Trev.
Yeah,
It
Serco
doesn't
will sort it
matter.
out.
It doesn't matter.
They'll
The
be gone
question
before
is,
she can shut it down.
What she made a statement that they're going to shut down the Lord Daresbury.
Yeah.
Where are you going to put them?
Okay. Well, that's something that we can ask. Okay. I'm not sure that Mandy will be able to answer the question, but
It was the same with all the Labour politicians. They're all saying, we're going to shut them down.
No, I know.
Where are you going to put them? And they were like, they wouldn't answer, but they've put them all in HMOs and they've put them all
That's
in homes.
right.
Yeah, but the main comment here is that we know that Labour are lying. We know that the Conservatives are lying. They've not just won the biggest turnaround in probably political history, which is fantastic. Don't get me wrong, smash Labour, smash them. But to reform, where are you going to put them? Nigel Farage says he's going to have mass deportations.
That's what he said.
And then he said, we're not having mass deportations.
Now he's having them again.
Now he's having them again. Once Rupert Lowe turned around and said, right, I am campaigning on mass deportations. And straight away, Farage, I'm getting a bit worried that he's actually flip-flopping more than Starmer at the minute. Because when I'm getting mixed up with Ben Habib and Rupert Lowe here, the two that seem to be in the mire with them. But as it was that Rupert Lowe mentioned it, then all of a sudden, then they're doing mass deportations. And when he was asked about that comment earlier on about Dame Angela, may I add,
Jenkins
said, put them in tents. We've been saying that for 6 months. Give them a tent. That's what they do in France. And, you can't do that here because we're in the ECHR, whatever. But France are in it. They're still in the EU, but they give them a tent. Germany give them a tent, but we give them a hotel.
Well, here's another one for
again,
you.
sorry, just to keep me on track for a minute. Tonight, it was said when they questioned Nigel Farage about the...
He said deport them, didn't he?
He said, I've got a better one than that. We'll deport him. So now he's back to deporting him again.
Good.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, my head's starting to spin with a fella. I'll be straight with you.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. I mean, it's a fair point to make. How about this one against Lucy Powell? How about this one? You ready for this?
Lucy Powell, a government minister, the leader of the Commons, believes that if somebody points out the grooming gang scandal in which thousands of teenage girls were raped and tortured, somebody in Labour points a finger and says, you're a bigot and a racist.
I don't think that's what Lucy thinks
That's
and
exactly
feels.
what happened. It's a dog whistle issue.
She's rightly apologised for what she said on Radio 4 on Friday night and said, she's made a genuine mistake. She's genuinely sorry.
What did she get?
I've been
what
in
did she make
those
a
sorts of
mistake
debate
about? Sorry, I'm
programmes before
confused.
where people...
She won't let him off.
What mistake did she make?
I've been in those debate programmes. She shouldn't have said what she said to Tim Montgomery.
Why did she say
wasn't the right response to fair and reasonable points he was making. Well, because she's human and we make mistakes. And I've been in those debate formats before where sometimes in the heat of debate you say something that you didn't mean or it comes across in a way that you didn't intend and you really wish you'd rather not have said it. And
No, hang on a minute. No.
Whoa, she will not let him off anything. Let her finish
John,
up.
Good, because she meant it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
She turned to Tim Montgomery, who you and I know well, who's quite a moderate righty. She pointed at him and she accused him of dog whistle politics because he raised quite legitimately the grooming gang documentary on Channel 4. How on earth is that mistaken? It's precisely that attitude that allowed large numbers of largely Pakistani men to rape white teenage girls in this country for years.
Well, there you have it. Okay, and
They're on the run, aren't they?
there's Trevor's on the run. Trevor's on the run as well.
They are on the run. They can't answer questions. They run away when there's... Did you see Andrea Jenkins? She was doing a speech and they ran away. They can't handle this.
No.
They are... I'll go back to saying they are finished, but again, it's like the dead rat in the floorboards. You
They're calling it...
smell for months on end, but they'll be gone eventually.
They're calling it as it is. Okay? So I know that the High Court ruling that came out would have made Mandy very, very happy. Okay, but I've got one last thing that I want to get on here before I bring Mandy back on. For a final say on certain things. Yeah, are you bored, Mandy? I can hear you. Yeah, I can't hear you. Okay, are you bored, Mandy? You don't look bored. You look lovely. How's that?
Do you want me unmuted or muted?
Well, as soon as I said you look lovely, then obviously you unmuted yourself.
I was making notes.
Right. Well, here's something before. Here's Trevor back on now. I'm going to. Here's the Supreme Court ruling. Okay, and you can tell us what you think about this. Here we go.
Now, the UK Supreme Court has ruled that the legal definition of a woman is based on biological sex. The landmark decision comes after a long-running legal battle between the Scottish Government and women's rights campaigners. The ruling could affect whether trans people are allowed in some female-only spaces. Well, in announcing the decision, the Deputy President of the Supreme Court, Lord Hodge, acknowledged the sensitivity of the debate.
The court is well aware of the strength of feeling on all sides which lies behind this appeal. On the one hand, women, who make up 1/2 of our population, have campaigned for over 150 years to have equality with men and to combat discrimination based on their sex. That work still continues. On the other hand...
Well, there you go, right? So what did you think of that Supreme Court ruling?
I was actually quite surprised. I expected it to go against us. It feels as if everything has been so much against women, including the two-tier policing, within councils, within schools, within the courts, within the prisons, you know, just the government, Keir Starmer, unable to say what a woman is. They've been telling us, that Labour government have been telling us for years that there's no problem with the Equality Act and it didn't need clarifying. And yet, on the other hand, they couldn't explain why we had all these men in our prisons and in our changing rooms and in our, domestic abuse shelters and our sports. He couldn't explain any of that, given that he'd said that there wasn't a problem with the Equality Act. And now we've had the clarification. He just says, oh, well, it's a good thing. I absolutely welcome it. No apology, nothing at all. So I feel I'm obviously delighted about it. I don't think it's a job done. There's still plenty of organisations that are pushing back against it. I mean, I went out for a drink the other night and there was a bloke in there, cross-dresser, who made a point of going, the men's toilets were downstairs and he made a point of going all the way upstairs to use the women's toilets. The bar didn't say anything, so I've contacted the bar to let them know what the legal position is, but we're seeing this resistance across the board. And obviously it doesn't remove the ideology from schools and things like that. So, and there's apparently a push kind of to get gender self-ID still implemented nationally through the back door in this bill, data, something to do with online data bill.
It's
which
digital
is
IDs, isn't it?
Digital ID, that's it, yeah. So I've written to my MP today. If people look on my councillor Facebook page, you can see like a model letter that you can adapt it if you want. And there's a little search in the link. There's a search facility so you can find your own MP's address. And we need to make as much noise about that as possible, because my feeling is everybody always thinks this is the end of the road, like we had with the CAS review, like we had with all of the different landmark court cases that we've had, Maya Forstater's court case even. This agenda is like a freight train. It just doesn't seem to want to ever stop, and it just keeps popping back up in a different guise.
My question is going to be, Mandy, okay, is there going to be any changes at Cheshire West and Chester?
Well, there has to be. Legally, there has to be. My guess is that they will do the bare minimum and they'll drag their heels about doing it, but I'm on the case, as
all right, so you're going to be raising it. Because
I've brought a motion to this next full council meeting. I've submitted it. If sometimes they find spurious reasons not to allow things on the agenda, but assuming it goes on the agenda, I'll get at least 2 minutes to speak to it and explain why they need to get a shift on with it, really.
Well, because Farage has said
that they're breaking the law. Yeah.
Farage has said, okay, that those people who are in any kind of jobs in any of the councils that Reform is now controlling, better start looking for another job. He's said it. And I mean, that is just echoing what Trump, has said in America, which is fine. We don't mind that at all. We're just interested in making sure that if Reform are going to do something, we have to see it. It can't be just vaporware, because Trevor's right in some of the things he's saying, because, Mr. Farage has flip-flopped in certain things. And I think it's the Rupert Lowe effect. And no, we're not putting you on the spot to say anything, and that's not the point. We're making the point that that's the case, okay? And it has happened, right? Because Rupert Lowe has made the moves, and then all of a sudden Ben Habib has come behind him and given him some force. And I think with the new party that Ben Habib is coming up with, I think depending on how much money goes behind it, that may give Reform, a run for its money, because there's a lot of money there hanging about ready to actually back him. Okay. Now I know the momentum is with Reform at the moment. Okay. But, is there any worries about that, within Reform?
No, I don't think so. Not at all. I mean, I think, to be fair to Reform, I would imagine in Nigel's shoes, you would have to look at the legalities and what can actually be done in terms of deportations. And if they've found a way that they can do it lawfully once they are in government, that's great, because there hasn't been many people who've been talking about, deporting illegal migrants and immigrants who are criminal, much longer for much of a longer time than Nigel Farage has. So I think he's committed to that cause. I don't think anyone's got any reason to doubt that he will do it if it can be done. And the fact that he's now saying it can be done is great. It's a positive. But I think also, to be fair to them, it will be in the councils that they now control, and they've said that they will look at every legal measure that they can to limit any sort of influx of illegal immigrants. They fully expect that the government is going to try and push more into the areas that Reform control. But I guess if they do that, Reform can, if there are if there's legal leverage to stop it and challenge it, they will do it. If it can't be stopped, it will just showcase the failure even more of the government and make Reform more popular, I would imagine.
Okay.
And so it's early days, isn't it? But it's exciting that we have actually got, it's 10 councils that we've got control of. That's mega,
I've got a question for you.
And I can't imagine that they're going to do. I mean, I know that we're going to have a lot of councillors that are new in and that are inexperienced, but look at the mess. Look at the absolute mess and the state that very experienced people have made of the job.
Oh, yeah, I can get that. And Trevor gets that as well, because he knows that, because he's experienced that in Warrington. And what is the extent of the debt right now, Trevor?
Oh, sorry, I thought, again, I'm biting my lip here.
What's the extent of the debt at Warrington?
The extent of the debt at the minute is 1.8 billion, rising to 2.2 in 27.
Yeah.
So that's the Warrington Council. So they've got an excellent record in office, haven't they?
Yeah. And they're experienced Labour councillors.
Yeah. So I just want to go back to this transgender thing. I mean, I had two women follow me in the loos the other night, but I mean, I think that was just a rumour thing. So I don't want to go. I don't want to go too deep into that. No, but what I'm on about, again, I can't really say things without making yourself very unpopular doing this, but I'm on about the Warrington branch in, all right, we'll not use the Warrington branch, I'll use other branches. I can only go, how can I word it? That Reform have created, is it 400 branches, I'd say, at the moment, something like that. Out of 650 constituencies. And people are still asking me at the moment for input, etc., and things like that. So I'm just a bit concerned again about the experience for these branches as well. I know. See, we can't use that as a reason in here, Mandy, saying that. Well, I totally agree with you actually that a fresh face into local councils is probably 10 times better than it's got to be. Anything's better than what's in there. So a fresh face, a fresh face, I completely agree with on that council level. But I'm also saying the Reform branches around the country as well, to what I'm experiencing. And believe me, I'm still in contact with a lot of people. I'm not just saying this. I am in contact with a lot of people and a lot of branches that are being formed around the country. And you can't just wake up in a morning and run a branch. I ran UKIP for 3 years in Warrington.
Yeah.
And they've asked me to run this one as well, the Reform one, which I've declined, right? Because I'm not happy the way that things are going, but that's something different. But what I'm saying is that the branches that you're building as well, the Reform are building at the minute, again, you don't just wake up and you can suddenly organise a branch. It's not that simple. You know that. You know you know that from all your experience
and your campaigning experience as well. You know, because
campaign experience. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, I really don't want to go into it because I'm not going to call people. It's not because.
Well, the point that you're making,
I love
Trevor,
it because people are so enthusiastic. This is what I found with reform. Everybody's new.
Yeah.
Everybody's enthusiastic, and I'm finding that the people that are fully experienced are being driven out.
Yes.
I find that bizarre.
That's what we're finding out, Mandy. And we could have had people.
No, I mean, I'm just giving you.
We could have had people on that would have actually, we'd have interviewed and they'd have said.
I'm not about the people that are still in there. I'm not about vetting and things like that. I'm not about the people that were in there that are being actually forced out. I mean, you must be aware of it, or you must have heard of some of it. Did you mention earlier, Walker? Is Ben Walker still? Is he involved in reform these days? Mandy?
No. No, but Ben Walker's he's actually a Labour councillor on Cheshire West and Chester. But he does
Ben Walker.
Yeah. The statistician.
Can't be the UKIP Ben Walker.
No. He does statistics.
Oh right, sorry.
No, he does election statistics and predictions, and he works for the New Statesman, I think, as well.
All right, okay.
All right, no, that's all right. I'm getting mixed up. I'm thinking of another Ben Walker. It's all right. When you mentioned him earlier on, I thought Ben Walker. He can't, because he was with the Ben Walker. The one I'm on about was with UKIP.
Right.
Okay.
No, it's definitely.
Different. Well,
He's
definitely.
When you said Labour, I thought, well, it can't be that Ben Walker. No.
Well,
no, he's
definitely
the polar opposite.
The point has been made. It's about people with experience, Mandy. Mark, have you got anything comments for Mandy before we start wrapping up?
I have actually, yeah. So it's all good and well with the Farage saying the 10 councils can end all the woke stuff, because they probably can very easily. But what can reform councillors and independent and other councillors who are standing up against, the two-party, the establishment, what can they do if they're not in, reform councils? How can they combat this against their councils? The likes of the child safeguarding and the women's rights, the trans issue.
So do you mean like in councils like ours, where I'm in
like yourself,
minority?
there's one or two councillors, they could be independent reform, whatever, but they're up against this brick wall of Labour and Conservatives. You just don't want to know. They've caused all this over the last God knows how long. What can they do to stand up to this?
Oh, there's so many things, isn't there? I mean, there's the thing like at the minute we are writing to schools and school heads to hold them to account, to ask them about their policies and what they're teaching to children. What
we are,
the law is on our side now in terms of the Equality Act. So, where they've got rid of, like in our council, they replaced women-only swim sessions with family. They changed the name of it to family, basically so they can make sure that men can come along and there's no women-only. They don't have the problem of having a single-sex group that trans rights activists might give them grief for. They're going to have to they're going to have to reinstate them. And then, they've had like domestic abuse support groups where they've allowed it to be run in the community on a self-ID basis. They're going to have to change that. So the law's on our side. People can get in touch with, if they've got a councillor who speaks up. First of all, the councillors have to speak up. You have to be brave and you have to just speak up. Once you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs, and you are going to get some stick. But once you've actually done that, gradually people will start feeling relieved that someone's done it and said it, and you'll start to get them on board. And then you can have members of the public come along and speak at the meetings as well when you've managed to get a motion on the agenda, just to show there's public support for pushing back against all this ideology stuff. I mean, in terms of reform, I would imagine they're going to have to deal with DEI through allowing contracts to lapse rather than actually actively sacking people, because I don't think you can do that. But it's good that the intention's there and that they're crystal clear that needs to happen, because it absolutely does. Do you want another little scoop?
Go ahead.
Go on. Yeah.
Okay, so I did some digging in our invoices. Over £500 for Cheshire West and Chester Council. And what I found was that in 2021-22, the council spent just over £9,000 on Chester Pride, just Chester Pride.
£9,000.
Just over 9,000. In 22-23, that had doubled to just over £19,000. And in 23-24, it had doubled again to just over £49,000 just on Chester Pride.
So we can see a
my
pattern. So we can kind of
God.
guess how much it's going to cost for 24, 25 then. It's gonna
Yeah,
be about 100
not
grand.
not got those figures yet, but it's important that people know that because they've just cut disability, the shop mobility disability service that Dial provide. Now they've reinstated it partially after there was a kickoff about it, but it's not the same service. You can't get the repairs and things like that that people might need to get.
Jesus,
to,
what
their
are
scooters.
these people doing? What the hell?
We've got so many issues in Cheshire, like the send crisis and all kinds of stuff going on. I think this money could be much better spent. But no, thanks for answering that question, Mandy, because I just wanted to show other councillors that you don't need to wait for someone like Reform to come in and win the council. You can actually stand up to them, as you've been doing for a while now, pretty much on your own. Obviously, you've had some help with some other councillors, but hopefully people can take some
49,000
to try and tackle these councils, because this woke stuff's not going to go away.
Yeah,
that's.
I just need to. I don't want to. I just want to raise a point here that you brought up there about things. I don't want this. This is not directed to Mandy because I don't want her to answer this or anything. But I just want to bring up a situation that was pointed out tonight, that Sarah Poachin, who is now the Reform MP, as we know, had her social media deleted immediately once she agreed to stand, or she had to delete it or whatever, and she was welcoming all the immigrants over, and she had a lot to do with the what's it called, the whatever day he was on about then, I can't remember.
Pride Day.
Sorry. So she had a lot to she dealt a lot with that, apparently. So that's a little bit
well, that's a little bit two-faced, really. But I mean, I'll state it straight off, right? But it's even more two-faced for £49,000 of public money.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm not asking Mandy to answer that. I'm just saying.
I'd like to, though. I'd like to.
No, you can answer it. Yeah, I mean, I just don't want to put you in that position. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, because we like you, Mandy.
I'm gonna just say this. I've met Sarah. I like Sarah. She seems like a really lovely person who genuinely wants to do a really good job in Runcorn and Helsby. Having said that, I have made mistakes myself. I think I voted in favour of something called the Borough of Sanctuary without really realising what I was voting for. And I think it's very easy for people to get swept along thinking that something's inclusive and kind, because that's how LGBT has been packaged.
The language,
that's it. You know, yeah.
Well, I understand that with what you're saying. With what did you say then? Something
sanctuary.
Sanctuary. Yeah, I can understand all that, but I can quite. For me, if I listened to the word pride, I'd know what the word pride meant.
Yeah.
But if you mentioned the sanctuary or something like that,
I
wouldn't know what you meant.
Well, I know what the sanctuary means, but some other people might not, because them sanctuary cities in America do exactly that. They take all the immigrants.
Yeah, absolutely.
New
York was
I don't know that. No, that's what I'm saying. I don't know that. But if somebody mentioned the word pride to me, would you back the word pride? You know, would you back the pride? I'd say no.
Yeah, but Trev, I know some people who go to Pride and they're just gay and they just go to get drunk and have a good time, and they're not even aware of what's going on in some of these tents and what's being aimed at the children.
Correct.
And they're just oblivious to it, mate.
But 49,000, I'd love to know how much they're planning on spending this year on Pride. They can kiss it. That ain't gonna happen without a fight. No way.
Really
49,000. Kiss it.
Yeah, but Jonathan, it is going to happen without a fight.
Well, it is. No, it isn't. It isn't. Questions are going to be asked now, because £49,000 actually does take a chunk off of your council tax within the area if you apply it. I mean, seriously, it does.
There's more than one Pride.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. Right? I don't understand why they're doing that. I mean, the rules have come in. The Supreme Court ruling is in. They better be thinking about that, because I think that we need to take a look legally at what the council can spend its money on. I think that deserves some research and some looking at. And I think I might ask some legal friends of mine about that. Because
when we looked
in relation
into it,
to the
John,
ruling...
When we looked into it, we only found councillors donating some of their money. But this sounds like you've actually found the council
over and above
donating.
It did include the councillor members' budget donations, but the bigger chunks were actually directly from Cheshire West and Chester, and they were from various different budget headings.
They must
So
have
it wasn't-
buried this because we couldn't find this.
We couldn't find it.
You can search. You could search by the name. Yeah.
Wow, that's good.
It was. Yeah, it took a few hours to go through all of the accounts and find that information, but it's there.
Oh, Louise.
Just makes you wonder what else they're spaffing our money up the wall on, doesn't it?
Oh, just
done it.
Just
That's
well,
your
Trevor
first
knows
question,
about it because he's
Yeah,
quite
if
happy for all the councils to join up because they get rid of their 2.3 billion debt.
Yeah, we
Which gets
offload that
spread.
billion at 1.8 billion debt. Yeah, I mean, between 3 or 4 councils, that brings us down to about 700,000. I'm made up with that.
I know. I mean,
But
how much is Cheshire West? This is just a final thing, right? How much is Cheshire West in debt to, Mandy? Because we know that they've got problems.
I
What's
don't know.
their sort of debt?
I don't know what that figure is. I don't know. Does
but
Trevor know?
Well, they are.
No,
they
not
are
the Czech,
definitely.
No, it's. I'm not aware they are in debt. I know they've got a.
Oh, they are.
They've all got deficits. No, all the councils have all got deficits, so they keep telling you. Well, I'll tell you what though. But now Labour's in there. Now Sir Keir, the Knight of the Realm, who runs a working man's party, now that he's in there, he can level all that off. He can give all the money back. He can start giving it all back to the councils, and nobody's going to be struggling, then, are they? And all our council tax is going to start tumbling.
And you're
because
going to
we're
get
gonna
your
have to
back
money.
passage cleared.
My back passage will finally be, sanitised. Is that the word? And get rid of all the fly tipping and everything
Well,
else that's down there.
Keir Starmer keeps telling us all about the black hole, doesn't he? So
Yes, that's
Oh,
what it's
right,
all
yeah,
about.
well, he's
That's
got
what
to
it's
fill
all
the black hole
about.
first, yeah.
Right. Well, just to end on a positive, have a listen to this lady. Have a listen to her. I think she's great. She's an advocate for freedom. Here we go.
Σοβαρά, κυρίες και κύριοι, η δεξιά κατέστρεψε τη βιομηχανία. Η δεξιά έκανε είδωλο την Γκρέτα Τουνμπέργκ. Η δεξιά επέβαλε την πράσινη ενέργεια σε βάρος της βιομηχανίας που κατέστρεψε την ανταγωνιστικότητα της Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης. Ή οι σοσιαλιστικές κυβερνήσεις που 50 χρόνια κυβερνούν την Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση. Γαλλία, Ιταλία, Γερμανία, Ισπανία, αλλά και η πατρίδα μου η Ελλάδα καταστράφηκαν από ανερμάτιστες σοσιαλιστικές πολιτικές. Και έχετε σήμερα το θράσος εσείς, η καταστροφή της Ευρώπης, να μας κουνάτε το δάχτυλο πως οι συντηρητικοί είμαστε απειλή για την Ευρώπη. Γελάω. Πραγματικά γελάω. Όπως σοφά είπε η Μάργαρετ Θάτσερ, το πρόβλημα με τον σοσιαλισμό είναι πως τελειώνει όταν τελειώσουν τα χρήματα των άλλων. Αφήστε λοιπόν τα φαντάσματα περί δίθεν ακροδεξιάς και εφαρμόστε φιλελεύθερες οικονομικές πολιτικές. Μειώστε τους φόρους, αυξήστε την ανταγωνιστικότητα, επαναφέρετε τα πλαστικά καλαμάκια, αφήστε το λιγνίτη ήσυχο, επενδύστε στη βιομηχανία και κυρίως δεχτείτε την πραγματικότητα. Αποτύχατε. Ακολουθήστε αυτά που σας λέμε πριν να είναι αργά. Γιατί είμαστε το αύριο και είσαστε το χθες.
How about that? Come on
Didn't
now.
understand a word she was saying.
I hope them subtitles are bigger when you're watching it on your...
I'm telling you, but what she was saying was that, basically the left are killing everything. And it's the conservatives that are the future. So I can tell everybody's future right now. First off, we want to thank Mandy for coming on. Here we go. And don't
No
forget,
worries.
show the colours. Show the colours of the nails. There you go. The reform colours, there they go, right? And we're going to thank Trevor and we're going to thank Mark. And I'm going to put that thing on again to come out on because I know everybody hates it. And it is the thing, right? Now, everybody
Taking
thinks...
the headphones out.
Mandy, when you listen to this, it's
It's going to be that flipping banana again, isn't it?
Banana.